Look, this season has some insanely promising kits and a new map that might actually be good. But there were bound to be some stinkers. And I'm going to say what I think about them just as honestly as I talk about the good stuff. I feel like Nintendo might have an exaggerated idea of how strong the Brella class is right now. Tents are in great shape, but aside from them, we've been seeing a whole lot of nothing competitively out of everything else. The Undercover has been considered a bottom tier for longer than Splatoon 3 has been out. The vanilla Splatbrella kit just doesn't synergize well with it, and then we got even more disappointed when the Sorella kit synergized pretty well with it actually, and still hasn't seen very much competitive use. I feel like I remember every Sorella main I've ever played against, because I met 50% of them at LTC. Shout out to JJ, the only Sorella main I met at LTC. When Rebrella came out and had better fighting capabilities, I thought it had potential, given a second kit glow-up. But as more time has gone on, I feel like we've soured a bit on the main weapon, and unlike the custom dowsers, in my view, the recycled Brella 24 Mark II doesn't seem to be a second kit glow-up. Toxic Mist is useful in some niche situations, but there are other weapons and kits I'd much prefer to have for those maps. Is it good for stopping people from coming around elbow on Rainmaker Humpback? Sure, but I'd rather have a vanilla Tri-Slosher for that. Vanilla Tri-Slosher isn't a weapon that's being used very much at all right now. What I have to think came into everyone else's mind was the Stamper Nouveau. Except for maybe the Tri-Stringer Cult and Hitzel, who loves Zimmy as if it were his own child. But I can still make a better case for Tri-Slosher than I can for Rebrella. In fact, I think literally every kit in the game that has Toxic Mist has more competitive use cases and a stronger individual main weapon than this Rebrella kit. I honestly think that in a vacuum, the strongest of the three parts of the Mark II's kit is the triple splashdown. And I only rate triple splashdown around not as bad as we thought it would be out of 10. I also think that every main weapon that currently has triple splashdown is stronger than the Rebrella individually, especially now that the Mark II isn't going to get a damage combo with its sub-weapon, drastically increasing its time to splat. Now, the combination of Toxic Mist with Splashdown will make it much more difficult to escape splashdowns, so there is synergy there. But I just don't see a world where trying to optimize around splatting someone with splashdowns is going to be competitively viable in Splatoon 3. A lot of the time, you can avoid the special on reaction. A lot of the time, even if you can't avoid it on reaction, you can shoot down the one fist that's going to hit you, or, barring that, you can trade the player so at least it's only a 1-for-1. Major multi-kills only happen when you catch the enemy team way too bunched up and they aren't respecting the special charge you have that they can see at the top of the screen. It will happen, and you will see it on Twitter, and it will make you feel like the special is stronger than it is, but there are just too many times where it doesn't really do that much. I generally find it's strongest in splat zones simply because it puts a lot of burst paint on the zone. But people are already running Reef Slider for that, and Reef Slider lets you move forward with invincibility to get to the zone more reliably, which is always the hard part when you're being locked out. That's why the competitive community talks about slider cheese instead of splashdown cheese. Currently, I'm seeing 0 Rebrellas in competitive play, and I expect that once the trial period for these new weapons wears out, I will go back to seeing 0 Rebrellas in competitive play. I think main weapon buffs would go a long way, but I feel like they really don't know what to do with the Brella weapon kits, and Rebrella has suffered for it. Maybe the gimmick of the paper-thin shield just wasn't a good one. Maybe its kits didn't support it. Maybe I'm completely wrong and this weapon's going to be a top tier. But if I had to make a prediction, I'd guess that they're going to need to rework the main weapon in Splatoon 4 before it makes an impact on the competitive scene.